Hey guys, Sean here for Console Service Center. Today we got 4 Xbox One X's. Xbox One X, not the Series X. We're just going to do all of them. They've got no visuals. Tested the hard drive already on the program that we use. It's not hard drives. So the next thing it's going to be is the HDMI IC. So we're just going to replace the HDMI IC. Check if we get visuals after that. Yeah, I think you've seen a few videos on this before. Let me grab the hot air station and get the soldering iron on. As you know, the HDMI ICs are a big problem when it comes to visual problems on the Xbox One consoles. Not so much on the original, but mainly on the S and the X. And like I've said before, on the S we don't use the 159 HDMI IC, we use the 158. It lasts longer and it doesn't give as many problems, so you don't get so many comebacks on it. So yeah, today we're going to do 158s. We just got our stock in, we've been waiting. So first thing is we put some let me just try and see if I can change the brightness a little bit there for you guys. So first thing is we use some flux. So one of the main reasons why the HDMI ICs go on the Xbox Ones, doesn't matter which model you have, they all give the same problem. But the reason for it is either customers plug the HDMI cable into the TV or into the Xbox while it is on, and that can give you some feedback on the HDMI port, and that can blow your HDMI IC. And the second reason is usually any feedback like lightning or anything like that, that can also blow the HDMI IC. These ICs are a little bit stubborn on the X's. They do take a lot more heat to get them off. So we're just going to heat this 158 up and just wait until solder starts melting, and then we can pull it off slowly. We'll just give it a nudge first, and just to make sure that it is that the solder has melted before we actually remove the IC. The reason why we do that is so that we don't pull any pads. As you can see, those little lines next to the HDMI IC, those are all pads that run to the filters and to all the other components on the board. People also call it a HDMI retimer chip, but yeah, we just old school here. We call it the 158 HDMI IC. Doesn't take long, 15-20 minutes we can do this repair. You just need the right equipment for it. As you can see, let's just give it a nudge. Yeah, it's not loose yet. Just waiting for it to loosen up. See, I can see the solder is starting to melt now. But this HDMI retimer chip has got a very big ground pad, so it needs quite a lot of heat to get that ground pad melted. And then also remember that these guys, when they manufacture them, they use lead-free solder, and lead-free solder's got a lot higher melting point than the leaded solder. Okay, looks like we're almost there now. There we go. You can see it's starting to move now, so we're just going to nudge it a little bit. Okay, it's almost there. I think it's just sticking because of that ground pad. There we go, it's coming loose. Right, just give it a soft nudge. There we go. As you can see in the middle, it's got quite a big ground pad, so that looks good. I'm going to show you a different way that we do the ICs now. Alright, so that's done. Let's just grab a HDMI IC, quickly, a new one. Just got these in today. We just got 6 from a local supplier, just so we can get the customers sorted out. We're waiting for our shipment, but yeah, we got a problem with customers again. They're very slow. Don't know if they're very busy or what's going on, but yeah, so we're just waiting for those. So there's the new HDMI IC. Just chuck that in there. Alright, let's just put this aside because we're going to use quite a few today. Should I move the board up a little bit? Alright, let's just see if we can get that in view. There we go. Alright, so brand new HDMI IC. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to prep the HDMI IC first. So we get the fine points. Actually, we can use the other soldering irons. Okay, we can use the Magnum. Alright, the board I'm just going to put one side with everything else. Okay, so first of all, we need flux again. So I'm just going to grab it with a tweezer. I'm going to try and get a bit more closer to it. There we go. Sorry if the focus is a bit out on the microscope. Like I say, what you guys see and what I see is a little bit different. Let's just move it up a little bit further. Alright, so what we can do is we're going to put some flux on it first. Okay, because we need to get some solder onto all those points. And as I said, we're going to use a leaded solder, so it makes it a lot easier. It just flows better, and then when you reheat it again to put it back on, it just everything just goes so much better because it's lead free. Just waiting for, okay, soldering iron to heat it up. Let's just clean our tip a little bit. Alright, so what we do then is we just put some solder onto our soldering iron, put a blob on there. I don't know if you guys can see that, so I've got a bit of blob there, and then we just grab it with the tweezer again so it doesn't move around, and then we're just going to run it softly across. We don't touch the IC, we just let that bubble of the solder just run, just touch all those points so we can get every little point soldered properly. You don't have to do this way, but it just makes the job so much quicker. Okay, there's one pad that we missed there. There we go. And just make sure you guys are still in view. Okay, run it across there, and then what I usually do is I put one blob in the middle. So there you go. So the HDMI IC is prepped. So we're going to just give it a good clean now with some isopropanol alcohol, 99%. Grab it with a tweezer again. Okay, and let's just give it a scrub. Okay, clean it nicely. Just flip it around. Make sure we get most of the flux off, because if you don't get the flux off, when you put it on the board, it floats around, you know, and then you got to try and keep it in position. It becomes a bit of a story to do that. Okay, let's just put that one there. It's going to give us a bit of a wipe with some fingers just to get most of the flux off. All right, let's get our board back in again. Just make sure you guys are back in view. Alright, so that's where we need our HDMI IC, and we might have to, let's just have a look if we can find our dot. So you can see the dot we got to line up with is that one there, and like I've said to you guys before, on the HDMI IC itself you have the dot on the top left hand side there. You can see it on the tweezer. Let's just zoom you guys back out a little bit again so you can see properly. Sorry if the screen changes, but it's the camera on the microscope itself that does that. So what I need to do first is I just need to move it away. We know that's the way it needs to go back on. I'm just going to move it away, bring in the hot air station again, heat it up until we get our solder to melt again, and then we'll place the HDMI IC back onto the board again, in place with all those little pads. So we've got to line it up properly, and like I said, we've got to put it the right way around. The orientation of the IC is going to be on the right place. So let's just heat this up, wait until we get some solder melting. Okay, should be any minute now. Excuse me. So remember, if you're in South Africa, we can do the HDMI IC for you. Then you don't have to battle, don't have to buy all the equipment just to do it. You need a hot air station, as you can see. You can't use a soldering iron to do this type of job. I don't think you'll get very far doing it that way, unfortunately. Okay, so as the solder is starting to melt now, okay, that should be enough. So let's bring the IC in. Don't burn our fingers out. Alright, so slipped a little bit, doesn't matter as long as we just line it back up again. Alright, so it should be stuck to there. Alright, let's just remove that. And then what we'll do is we'll get some more flux and just put a little bit more flux on there. Okay, let's get more flux so we can just make sure that everything is connected properly. And it's better to put the flux in it on while the board's hot, because then it's a bit easier to get everything to melt properly. I'm going to try and see if I can zoom in a little bit closer without losing too much focus. Let's just quickly see. Okay, that looks good. Alright, let's just give it some more heat. I'm just going to use a different tool. It's a little bit longer, so I'll stop burning my fingers. Alright, let's just quickly heat that up again. And then what I usually do now is I would heat it up and just give it a small nudge, just tap it a little bit, just to make sure it goes to the right place where it should be, because what the solder will do is it'll pull it into place. Surface tension on the chip or the solder, it will pull it right. Okay, sometimes, not all the time. Alright, and then what I usually do here is I just push it down a little bit. Okay, slightly. Just push it down, keep it down. Alright. And then remove the hot air away, wait for it to cool down. Alright. Let's just have a look at that. Alright, so we held it that way around. Now I'm just going to hold it this way around and heat it up again. Okay, that looks good. Just leave it a little while. Let it cool down. And then what we're just going to check is just make sure that all the solder points have got solder in properly and they're not joined anywhere. Right, that should be cool down. Just grab some alcohol, give the water to clean. Okay. Alright, let's bring the microscope to the bench. Go away from the bench. Just get some focus in there. Then we got the IC there. Just flip it around. Just got to get you guys back in focus again. Sorry guys, we're at a different angle now, so I'm just going to try and make sure I can get in properly. Microscopes can be a bit finicky sometimes. Just see if we can get it up a little closer. As I say, what you guys see on the screen and what I see through the microscope is not the same. So it's a bit difficult to get everything in focus properly. Okay, look, we're struggling a bit to get it in focus here, but I think it's mostly the light also. But all we're trying to see is that all these solder points here are all running up and they are joined properly, so there's okay, the chip needs to move a little bit to the one side, so I'm just going to heat it up a little bit and just move it up a bit. So it needs to move towards me. Let's quickly have a look. Just going to heat it up a little bit more. Alright, so it needs to come down this way a little bit. So let's just heat it back up a little bit more. much better. Alright, so you can see the blobs of solder has come out. So we're going to clean that up nicely now. That's actually what I wanted from the first place. In the first place, so we can run that solder through all the points, so we make sure it's connecting properly. Right, it should be soldered. Okay, let's grab our soldering iron and a little bit more flux. Get all that excess solder away there. Okay, it's nice and warm, so flux will melt much easier. Okay, that's done. Just drag it across. This tip is a little bit big, but it's fine, it works. So I'm getting you guys out of view there. Okay, that one's done. That's good. Okay, one more blob on this side. Okay, perfect. Just change the view here quickly. Alright. So I'm just going to double check that it's, I'm just going to give it a good clean again with the isopropanol. Okay, I'm going to give it one more check. Just so that I can make sure that it is soldered properly. Okay, that side looks good. Flip it around. Check all four sides. That looks good. That side looks good. And this side we might need a little bit more solder, so let's just go back in there. So as you can see on this view here, this section here has got too little solder on it. You can see on the pads. Just wish I could focus this in for you guys a lot better. Let's see if we can get it a little bit better than that. Let's go further down. Okay, there we go. So these, the side here, there's a little bit too little solder on some of these points, so we're just going to give it another run of some solder. Just going to put some flux on. It will probably work, but I don't feel like stripping the whole console down again to test that. Let's just double check. Sorry for the noise. Thin tip on the soldering iron. Let's find our solder. I'm in a bit of a rush today because I've got so much work to get finished still today. So, sorry that making a bit of a noise here. Let's just quickly get some solder on there. Alright, so what often happens is you're going to get your solder clumping up, as it is with this one, because the problem with this one is this tips may be a little bit too small and the soldering iron doesn't give enough heat. So that's why I run it with a fatter tip again. Just clean the tip just to get all that excess solder off there. There we go, and that looks perfect. Better than factory, 100%. Okay, let's give it a good clean again, and then we're going to test it. I don't have to assemble the whole console. We'll just put some of the parts back. We don't need to clean everything. We don't have to put everything back again. Okay, just make sure most of the alcohol is off there. Looks good. Alright, let's just get a different view so you guys can see from the top. Okay, move the microscope, we don't need that right now. Okay, so all we really need here is the heatsink. Because what we just want to make sure is that we get Visiuals again. So let's pop the heatsink back on. Okay, heatsink on. X clamp clamp on. Okay, so let's just get this lined up properly. Okay, there we go, X clamps on. Next thing we're going to need is the front power board. So we need the front power board. Let's put that on. And then the last thing we need is the hard drive, and sorry, the last two things, hard drive and power supply. So let's just put the hard drive, plug that in quickly. Okay, that's in, hard drive's in. And lastly, the power supply. Just clip that onto the top, get everything lined up properly. Don't need the disk drive and all that. I prefer putting it in the casing most of the time. Just oh, there we go. So it's clipped through the holes there. Let's move that up. Change the view for you guys now so you can see. Let's move the microscope back there. So there we go. Let's just try and see if we move this that way maybe, and you guys can see a little bit better. Alright. So there we go. Everything's in. Switch those to now. Okay, we need the power supply. Be careful when you plug this in and it's open like this. You don't want to touch that because you don't touch on the wrong place because it has got 220 volts. It can shock you. Okay, let's pop in the HDMI port after the HDMI cable. Okay, HDMI is plugged in. Let's move that light. Let's put the TV on. Just to make sure you guys can see that. Yep, you can see. I can see it's picking up HDMI already. Alright, so that's perfect. And let's power it up. Okay, let's see if it'll work. And something's happening there. There we go. So successful. Just HDMI IC on this one. Like I say, we got another two Xbox One X's, and I got another two Xbox One X's and two Xbox One S's still to do. But there you go. So we're right. You can see it's in 640p. So we're going to check some of the settings now just to make sure that it does jump back to 4K. This is a UHD TV that we test on. So let's have a look. We'll see now. It's going to sync up. There we go. So we've got the user. Grab a controller quickly. Let's plug in the USB. Obviously the console's never been synced with our machine. Oh, sorry, with our controller. Alright, so it's synced in perfectly. But then it's got no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth card on it now, so we won't be able to use the Wi-Fi. Actually, no, we should. Bluetooth, sorry, it's on the front board. So yeah. Alright, it's got a password on. Let's just go back. Just make sure that it goes to 4K. Let's just go to settings. Settings. If it doesn't go to 4K, that means that this thing's in a completely different language. Okay, I think we should, I know the menus. 640 by 480, let's go to 4K. If it doesn't work on 4K, then we know that the IC is faulty. So there we go, we're in 4K. As you can see, perfect, it's working, 100%. Please like the video and comment if you have got any comments, and I'll try and reply back to you as soon as possible. Have a good one. I'm going to do another 3 left still to do. If I've got anything else that's a little bit interesting, I'll make another video for you guys. That's it. Have an awesome day, and thank you for watching, guys. Cheers. Bye bye.